Today I want to quickly talk about the Swedish heavy tank line. This is the line that's going to be top of the tree on the EU server for the next couple of weeks. And I kind of just want to talk about this line because it's a line which I think a lot of people will probably want to go for, because since these tanks were reworked to have 3-shot autoloaders, they're a lot more fun to play than they used to be. Because it used to be when they had 4-shot autoloaders, they were effectively just crap versions of the American autoloaders and the French autoloaders. There wasn't really anything special to them, so nobody really wanted to play them. But since they reworked them and made them a little bit faster, give them higher alpha damage per shot but less shots in the clip, it's made them a lot more unique and a lot more interesting to actually play. But there's a couple of things I want to warn you about in this line. And there's first thing is the Emil 1. Emil 1 is a bit of a brutal grind. This thing here, it weighs practically nothing. It's such a light vehicle. It's only 28 tons. But it has the most gutless engine I've ever come across in this game, because it has some of the worst mobility I've ever had to deal with. It is tragically slow, and thankfully the majority of those problems get resolved when you get to the Emil 2 when you get fully upgraded, but this thing here, even when it's fully upgraded, feels slow as hell. And the second thing I'm going to warn you about is the Leo. Now, the STRV-74 will probably get your hopes up as to what the Leo will be like. Don't get your hopes too high. Because if you go into this thing with extremely high hopes, you will hate this thing with a burning passion. Because that's what I did, and I would highly recommend going into this thing with low expectations, because I have heard some people do like this thing. But I went into this thing expecting a lot, and then didn't like what I got. So, yeah, go in with low expectations and you'll probably enjoy it. But if you go in with high expectations, then you're going to hate every second of playing it. But to go over the main things with this line, I'm going to skip the tier 7 and below because they're very different from tier 8, 9 and 10, because not really the same sorts of vehicles. Now, tier 8, 9 and 10, they're basically main themes other than the Emil 1. The Emil 1 is such a weird vehicle in this line, it doesn't really line up with the themes of the other two vehicles. The Emil 1 and Emil 2, the Emil 2 and the Kranwagen are both decently mobile, very strong hull-down heavy tanks, when the turret is pointed directly towards the enemy. So it's not like an IS-7 where you can turn your turret basically sideways on and people still can't pan you. With this thing here, you have to think of it as kind of like a peg-nosed heavy tank. You keep the front of the turret pointed directly at the enemy tanks and you'll bounce shots. If you angle the turret at all, usually people will just put shots straight through the side armor of it, because the side armor is pitiful in comparison to the frontal armor. I mean, look at the angling on this and look at the thickness of it. It's about 215 millimeters, and look at the angling, and then the side armor is 60 millimeters. It's nothing in comparison to the front. So it's not like the German heavies where you can kind of angle your turret and get more effectiveness out of it. This thing here, you have to be very, very persistent about keeping your gun pointed directly towards whatever enemy tank is shooting at you, which can make it a bit tricky sometimes. And it makes it really punishing when you go forward to try and kill off a certain enemy vehicle and there's multiple enemy vehicles shooting at you at once. It's very easy to get yourself potentially killed in that sort of circumstance, so you do need to be very careful about the way you do it. Next thing to mention is the mobility isn't bad on the tier 9 and tier 10, but as I mentioned on the Emil 1, it is really, really bad. And the Emil 1 also has a strong-ish turret, but instead of having a turret like the Emil 2 and the Kranwagen, which doesn't really have this sort of bar, I guess you would describe it as, like this thing here, this thing, because it's completely flat, I do think it's thicker armor than the rest of it, but because it's so flat, it means that people firing gold rounds, particularly heat rounds, can usually pan it, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of this thing of these vehicles having extremely strong turrets. Because I really do think these vehicles could have been overpowered if they had single shot guns, because they could just sit in a position and basically hold back a flank, whereas because they have autoloaders, that actually balances them out, because it means they can't just sit and just hold back the entire flank in a hold down position, which is actually a really nice thing, because it's not too often an autoloader actually makes something like less powerful, technically, if that makes sense. But yeah, so far I have enjoyed my time playing the Emil 2. Just the Emil 1 was a bit of a brutal grind to get through, to actually get to this thing. So let's jump into a game in this thing and see if I can show you what this thing is actually like to play. So this is interesting matchmaking, because I am tapped here, and this does look like a fairly good opportunity for this vehicle to do well. The one thing that's a little bit sort of awkward about this is the fact that there's no real position. Well, there's one position. I'm being a liar there. There's one position I can think of where I can keep all the enemy tanks directly in front of me and still stay hull down. But I don't know if I will be able to use that position, because that's usually the sort of position an E75 or something like that would take. And I don't know if I would be better in that position than an E75. I think E75 will probably be better in that position, but I can probably make it to that position before the E75 can. I don't want to go to the middle ridge area. I've done that before in the past. Sometimes it works out. Don't get me wrong, sometimes it does definitely work out. But going to the middle ridge is something which is high risk and potentially high loss. There is a high risk, high reward, but it means if the game doesn't play out the way you need it to, you're going to get pretty much just stomped. And you're going to lose all your health and you're going to die very, very early on. Because, well, whenever that happens, that is exactly the reason why I didn't want to go to the middle ridge. Look at how my mediums are sitting in that position. If I was in that fray, there's no way in hell I could keep my gun pointed towards all those different vehicles, especially over such a wide area. I need to be able to concentrate the vehicles in front of me in a very narrow arc of about 40 degrees, I would say. But 45 degrees, I would say, is probably no, 45 degrees is actually too wide. I would say probably about 30 degrees in front of me. That's where I need them. I need them inside of that arc in front of me, and I would have to either be really far back or somehow manage to stop them from getting around me somehow. But it's one of those things where there's no real way for me to stop all those enemy vehicles from sort of just eventually getting around my armor by getting to my side armor in some shape or form and eventually killing me off by doing that. But the E75 has pushed forward fairly far, so I am going to see if I can take a look into getting some shots into the enemy vehicles which are on that ridge now, because now I can keep them in front of me if I'm in this position. This is a bit risky, we'll 100% admit that. Didn't really want to switch fire from the E50, or from the, what was it, E50M? Or no, E50. Didn't really want to switch fire, but my best option there was to just maximize the damage output I could get. So I just switched fire to a different vehicle because I had to in that scenario. Barasks. Barasks are such an annoying vehicle to fight off against. They are just such a brutal tank to come up against because they are so incredibly good at just kicking out about half your health and damage inside of 2 seconds. It's something which can be it's nearly impossible to really counter. I don't really think there's actually a legitimate counter to that. What are you supposed to do? Also E75 is dead. Well, that's not good. E75 being dead, that is pretty horrific actually. But the Barask is no longer in a position to get shots off towards me, so I'm actually going to move back towards the middle ridge, because I have a feeling the WZ-111 GFT, the tier 9 actually, I was going to say tier 8, but I actually had to double check because I can never remember those things' names. Tier 9 Chinese tank destroyer will probably come over here after some of the tanks in the middle ridge have died. Also Tortoise, it looks like it might be about to get outflanked by the Barask, but the Barask is on very low health. TL1 might finish him off, I would hope he can. But Barask is very tricky to get a good hit on sometimes. Barask actually killed the TL1, that's actually horrific. And the timing of that is horrific as well, as he was behind him. I didn't judge correctly where he was on the map. Damn it. I thought I would have had a shot on him. I thought he potentially was on top of one of those ridge lines, but he wasn't. That's horrific actually, because I potentially had an opportunity to kill that guy, but I kind of squandered it. And then the Barask, who the hell knows where he could be. In fact, I know where the hell he's going to go. He's going to come up behind me. He can kill me in a clip. I can kill him in one shot. But if he's fast enough, he can easily kill me before I can do anything to him. So I am actually going to roll back around this corner here, because I am just trying to... Actually nope, the Barask went back in front of the Tortoise. Maybe I'm overthinking what I'm expecting of people. There is a lava. That's not a good shot to try and go for. So let's see. Let's try and stick shots into your lower front plate. Just try and reduce your mobility. Just so that I can hopefully keep you at bay, just so that I can reload. I think he was slider and kept his repair kit in order to keep his mobility up. Hopefully I'm going to be just about quick enough to be able to fall back without getting shot by the lava. Never mind, I actually do think his engine was broken because he was very, very, very sluggish in that position there. See, now we're in the slightly awkward situation here where I have to try and side scrape in this thing, and this is something this tank does not really appreciate you doing. It does have 60mm sidearm, which is better than it used to have, but it's not exactly brilliant side armor. Oh, don't do that to me, gun. Okay, gun trolled me a little bit there and put the shot directly into the one area of the lava's front plate I couldn't pen. Okay. Wait, did the tortoise go down the... Oh, the tortoise came off the aircraft carrier. That was unexpected. Now the question is where the Brask is going to be. See, I think what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to actually turn around and take a look where the hell this Brask was, because the Brask was last spotted in the middle. I don't know where the hell to expect him to be. 1390 is going to be behind the tortoise. I know the WZ-111 GFT is over there, but I think the 1390 is a bigger threat to the tortoise right now than... Oh no, this is bad. 53 TP must be over here. It must be over here. Has to be. Where the hell else could the 53 TP be? There's 1390. And there's a Brask. I lucked out with that shot to an insane degree. Holy crap. The Brask is a vehicle that's notoriously tricky to deal with. I would have loved to have killed that 1390, by the way. That 1390 being dead would have been a massive, massive boost to our team. But unfortunately, the 1390 managed to run away. 53 TP is actually there. Okay. If ISU can get a shot into him, that will put him inside one clip range for me. I'll be able to finish him off, hopefully. M53 is in a, or M40 is in a really, really rough position right now because I think he's getting focused. So I'm going to try and stick shots into your engine, try and let you on fire. Come on, please go on fire. Damn it, he didn't go on fire. If he'd gone on fire, that would put me in a way, way, way better position because that would have been him practically gone. In fact, no, he would have been gone because he would have been on so low health that... He did go on fire, that's the annoying thing. He just didn't stay on fire because he had an automatic fire extinguisher. Now it's a question of where is the best position for me to go. I have terrible gun elevation. That is the worst possible fight for me. This thing's gun elevation is absolutely atrocious. This is one of the main problems with this tank. When it comes to gun elevation, this thing is absolutely horrific. That's bad. I actually really needed the 1390 to not be in that position. But because he is in that position now, that's as high as my gun goes. That's genuinely as high as my gun goes. I can't aim at the top of that, at the top of the aircraft carrier's like ramp, I guess. Why am I driving like an idiot right now? See, they have two vehicles on practically no health. They have a T-30 which is unspotted. That's something I didn't even notice until just now. A T-30 that's not even spotted right now. That's not been spotted this entire game right now, I should say. Oh shit, that is the worst possible moment for you to pop up. He missed his shot, but I don't think there's a way for me to get back to the base in time. And he is going to have a faster reload than me. Thing is, will he be quicker than me? That's the question. Whereabouts is he going to go to? Oh yep, he came behind me. Lucked out to an insane degree there. I'm getting incredibly lucky with these shots. Like way luckier than I'd ever expect to get. And that's... there's too many tanks. I can't kill them all. Oh, that was a game that could have gone so well, but we just couldn't kill them fast enough. That, I'm assuming 53 TP or artillery really did screw me over there. That WZ-111 GFT, I expected him to be the one. I really did. I thought that he was capping. That's really... That's shit. I'm actually really annoyed that that's going to be a loss. Because that could have been a spectacular game. And like, it really does show that this vehicle here... Like, I wasn't even hulled down that much in that game. Not really. I think that was just showing that, like, more the firepower of the oil loader rather than the armor of the tank, which is kind of weird because that's not typically something you don't end up doing that very often in this machine. But like, it really does show the potency of this thing's like oil loader and like just how much damage it can do and how devastating it can be. And I'll just show you here. Yeah, 60,000. Look at the damage in comparison to the rest of my team. Okay, that was that could have been a carry. Could have been. Yeah, this vehicle, it's a vehicle which I really do think is incredibly potent. Just on some maps, it can be very tricky to get the most out of it, and yeah, I think that was probably the tortoise. Yeah, I think that's probably the tortoise on my team there. Like, we were the last, yep, we were the last two alive on that one. The tortoise, like, on a map like that, I can't imagine a worse map for a tortoise, because having to move around so much on a map is, and by the way, like either like being on a tortoise on a map like that, trying to move around whenever there's no enemy tanks coming to you, honestly is a bit of a nightmare. Really, really is, because like that tank's just not quick enough. Like, you can't chase enemy vehicles in a vehicle as slow as that. That's the main like huge flaw to the tortoise, because it has all of this firepower, all of this potential, but only if the enemy tanks come to you. You can't chase them, because if you chase them, you're never going to catch them. Like, that guy there, I think, did all he really could to try and get some damage out of that game, because if he had set back in the background, he might have been able to stop the cap, but it's more likely that he would have got rushed by multiple enemy vehicles that were far faster than him. So he made the decision to try and go forward, and honestly, probably would have made the same decision if I were him, because it was entirely possible that if he sat near the base, he wouldn't have been quicker. He wouldn't have been quick enough to get into position to do more damage if he was still at his base, because if we'd managed to pull that game back to a point where we were winning and we were pushing the enemy base, that would have been his game over. He couldn't have possibly done anything more. In a vehicle like that, it's so hard to tell where a game is going. So I think that guy probably made the same call I would have made and pushed forward around the north side of the map instead of, or well, I guess northwestern side of the map, instead of sitting in the base. I probably would have done exactly the same thing. It's just a shame, like, in that scenario, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of what else I could have done in that game, because I did lose a lot of health in that game too. What actually vehicles shot me? I don't actually recall which vehicles actually did damage to me. I don't know if there's a way to tell that actually. Like, I know the WG did. E50 didn't. T30 tried a shot against me but didn't luck out. I actually lucked out to an insane degree, by the way, in that game in regards to the gun handling. The gun handling worked out really nicely for me. Oh, the Barask really messed me up in that game, because I think he did 720 damage to me and took off probably just over a third of my health without me being able to retaliate. And you saw the restriction of the gun elevation in that game as well when the 1390 went up to the top of their aircraft carrier. And if that guy hadn't been on such low health, he could have killed me there and then. I don't think he realised I couldn't put my gun any higher. But sadly, that game unfortunately wasn't a win. Kind of sad, like, to have to basically make the game that I feature for this thing a loss. But well, I think it still kind of just shows like the potency of this thing's gun, even if you're not really using the turret very much. And the mobility of this thing isn't as bad as you maybe expect it to be, because these vehicles before they were changed had atrocious mobility. These things here could often be beaten to position by some of the German super heavies, which is actually fairly atrocious. Like, they were horrific when it came to their mobility before they got changed. But with the implementation of the 3-shot clip that they have now and the changes to their mobility, these tanks became so much more usable, and I genuinely think they're some of the more fun autoloaders in the game. But you just need to be careful about the arc of enemy tanks that are like shooting at your turret. Like, I would say probably about 15 degrees to this side, so about there is probably about as much, or actually, I would say probably around about there. Is probably about as much as you want to go, and same on the other side as well. You don't want people to be able to shoot the like sort of rear box of the turret, because they will pen that with no real problem if they're tier 8, 9 or 10. It's just one of those things where like it's weird because this tank doesn't have really any frontal turret weak points, but it has weak points that can easily be exploited if you don't keep your gun pointed in the right direction. It's an interesting one. It has a different type of weak point from normal.